Helix webinar series. Today's session is on what's new in digital workplace. We ran an EMEA session last week, so this is a repeat for the US session. A couple of reminders for those that have or haven't been on any of these Zoom webinars. We will be using the Q&A section for you to put your questions in during this session. It's roughly going to be 60 to 70 minutes long, depending on how long it takes us to do the demo. What we are asking you to do is only use the Q&A, and we will at the end open up for live Q&A because we are going to be recording this. And in this session, there are some roadmap presentation slides that haven't been released. So to make this much easier for the recording, we will be running this session first and then answering your questions live at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to our two presenters. We have Deepak Rudra, our lead product manager, Rich Murphy, our senior solutions engineer. Rich will be doing the demo part and Deepak will be going through the roadmap piece. So Deepak, over to you.
Thanks, Sam, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone, from which part of the world you are. Thank you so much for joining. Some of you have already interacted with me. I'm product manager for Digital Workplace and Digital Workplace Catalog. I'm based out of US, and that's the whole reason I'm running this session separately for US time zone. We'll be talking about what's, in this session about what's new and what's on the future roadmap. I also have my colleague who's a pre-sales champion, and he has been working on a lot of ITSM and digital workplace assignments. So you have the right person, you have the right forum to talk about stuff, and then we'll be giving you a preview of what's coming up. So over to Rich for a quick introduction.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here with you. I am a solution engineer in the pre-sales department. I specialize in the ITSM and digital workplace part of our solutions. I've been messing with this software for about 28 years now. So I've seen it grow from the very beginning all the way up until what we're going to be showing you today. So I'm looking forward to getting into this here in a few and showing you some of the new features.
Thanks, Rich. Let me quickly take everybody to the next slide. So as I said, we'll be talking about a real brief. We'll be talking about what's new that's already GA and what's on our future roadmap. When I say future roadmap, it's going to be like the immediate future, but not probably like another 1 year or 2 year. That's more of a strategy, but I really want to show you what's on our future roadmap, right? Which is an immediate future roadmap. So before we jump into the technical stuff, I would like to just put down some of the areas so that we, like some of the terminology so that you understand what is BMC's strategic initiatives and then where is BMC investing, right? So as you can see right at the top, you see empower the modern workforce. That's us, that's digital workplace and associated products, really, right? That's what we're going to be focusing on today's session. Other than that, BMC's strategic focus is on modern observability, which is, proactively identify problems in your infra and your network or data centers and how you soon fix them. So all those kind of products falls into this particular strategy. Again, you have AI ops and AISM, which has been like our primary focus right from many years, which is around ITSM and monitoring tools, right? Additionally, on the left-hand side, what you see is lines of business and collaboration. So these are built on top of our products, right? The solutions, and these solutions help different processes in the company. For example, HR, finance, facilities, and other departments, right? So these departments cannot operate autonomously. They need IT support, right? So that's what we are doing. And a lot of these solutions, as you would see in Converge platform, will start utilizing DWP more and more. So you would see that closely integrated with all the products in this area. Now, to help you understand the terminology a little better, we will be focusing on employee experience, right? And what do we really mean by employee experience? A clarification on the terminology. It's how you make your workforce more productive and more engaged in this hybrid world, right? You are also in the age of millennials where everybody's on phone, everybody wants things quick and easy. They do not have time to basically sit for like 30 minutes on the phone to basically on a phone call with service desk to just raise a ticket or to just raise a request and get their stuff done. They also need access to the knowledge to get themselves, be self-serving themselves, right? So that's our mission statement. How do you basically help employees get their job done more conveniently and easily, right, with different channels and in hybrid world? So as you know, post pandemic, people, companies, many organizations started asking employees to come back, but it's not been 100% as before always. So it's still hybrid. People tend to make a balance between working remote and coming to office and collaboration. So that's what we are going to support with this employee experience initiative. Now, what does employee experience really comprises of? It's more theoretical, so that you basically understand our vision and our strategic direction, right? So, digital workplace, as you see on the top, plays the biggest role, right? Which helps in having your hybrid workforce do the self-service and get the help right at their fingertips. This is empowered by Digital Workplace Studio, which you may or may not have attended the session which we done recently, but or I may have, or my colleague may have done some other sessions, which basically helps you have microsites for each lines of businesses, right? So that you only show the content which is more focused. Additionally, the old things which had already been there, which are used extensively for supporting employees, is my items and service health, location and floor maps, and collaboration has been a big support, right? Even at the time of when everybody was working remote, how do you collaborate, right? So digital experience has been topmost priority for the organizations, and that's how what we also focused on, having better collaboration and peer support. And this is also empowered, digital workplace is also empowered by multiple channels which can be integrated, which includes the virtual agent, and how you transition from virtual agent to live chat, so that you have the agent support right away if the bot is not able to help you. Additionally, irrespective of whatever channel you go, either you go into smart IT, either you go into digital workplace, or you go into chatbot, Helix virtual agent, you're going to have knowledge everywhere. So that's our initiative. Knowledge first approach is our initiative, that people be able to self-service themselves, right? So that's employee experience all about. Now, the digitization initiative that is supported by Digital Workplace, there are like three initiatives which are going to be supported by Digital Workplace. Modernizing the workforce, as I said, there you have all the generations from millennials to basically people those who are 50 and better, right? To basically support all of them. How can we do that? And Digital Workplace is a solution for that. And improving employee experience, as I mentioned, Studio plays a key role, which is available 21.3 onwards, which help you create microsites for different lines of businesses, which get them resources at their fingertips quickly, very targeted, very focused, not like previous versions where you have one single catalog, everything is available in a single catalog, and it takes you ton and ton of time to basically identify what you really want from that. And in the future, you will see how AI and AI and machine learning is going to help. I'm going to do, as a bonus, I'm going to show you some of the early previews of how it's going to be there in our product. We'll talk about it at a later stage. Then enterprise LOB digitalization, as I said, lines of businesses support is our key priority at this point. How do you, not only just IT, it's, the digital support is not only restricted to IT anymore, it's spread across your different lines of businesses in the organization. And we are there to support that in conjunction with other products like business workflows. And they are building, they are building products on top of digital workplace, like microsites, landing sites, new hire portal, and so on and so forth, right? So we're going to be very collaborative in that effort, and digital workplace is the go-to place for all digitization efforts moving forward for your organizations. Now, in this session, we will be touching on what features have we introduced in 22.104, 22.105, 06, and 07. There's already been a webinar on 22.1. If you would like, you can always reach out to our communities and find out what was there for 22.1. But then this is more on the patch releases, because BMC has started releasing features now as part of the patches, right? And customers will be benefited by just upgrading to a patch, and they will get all of these features. So we'll be focusing on that. As you can see, 40 plus features were introduced in 22.x, right, in this release, and then 49 plus features in 21.x release, right? And as you can see in these patch releases on the left-hand side, if you can see, we have introduced 15 features. 50% of those were actually based on community ideas. So we are listening to you. I personally get on to calls with customers, with some of you, talk to you. If you want really some opportunity to discuss this with me, reach out to your customer success team or to your account manager. I'll be happy to jump on a call. Ideas is primary focus for us at this point because we really want to enable you all. And I'm also happy to say we're also going to be releasing 12 new features in our upcoming release. So as you can see in this shorter span of time, we have over 100 new features, a lot to digest, right? And I totally understand. And that's why we really want to have these more collaborative sessions with you. So without further ado, I'm going to stop presenting and I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Rich Murphy, to basically take you through a quick demo of all these features. So over to you, Rich, now.
Thank you, sir. Let's see if I can get a screen shared here for you. Here we are. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, it's good.
All right, thank you. So hopefully everyone here is familiar with the Digital Workplace Studio, which you use to create the appealing pages and target your audiences inside of Digital Workplace. All the functionality that you see on my screen and will be seeing here as we move forward has been created using one of these pages in the Digital Workplace. So I'm going to go through a few of the new features that we have available for you right now. The first one I want to talk about is to-dos. Using the to-dos, using the studio, I've added a new activity, an activity component, and I filtered it on to-dos. To-dos are now, they're tasks that are assigned directly to the end user. The end user can then view those tasks, work on them, and complete them. We can open up a task that's assigned to me, add comments to it. I can see what I have to do as far as the task. I can add pictures. I can put attachments on here, leave my comments, and then mark it as complete. And inside the process, on the back end, the person who has created that to-do for me can now see that the tasks that I have been assigned are completed. Think of this as such as a new hire. You're bringing new hires in, you're walking through the process, everything that you have to get done with the employee. The employee has to do things like paperwork and assign this and do this and that. All of those tasks can then be assigned to that employee for them to be able to get in, check off the list of what they have to do, and complete the process. Let's see if we can pull this. You can view this as a list if you want. You can view this as the cards. It's whatever your preference is. You're able to filter on this now. If you filter on these, you have a new option, select all, status type, and underneath type, you have the to-dos. It's important to note that these to-dos are created in business workflows, such coming from like HR service management. You can assign a task with type to-do in your business workflows, and it'll show up like you see here in the end user's view. Moving on into some more studio enhancements that we have repeatable questions. We've had multi-loop options for a while. You can design a workflow process to grab data from a table, multiple select table, and then fire a process against all of that data. If we see like a spot bonus multi-loop here, when you open this up, we do a request for this. I'm going to use this as an example. I can select multiple people from my list here, add justification, giving a bonus. And in the background, it's going to take these two selections from my table and create two different fulfillment requests in the back end using the data from the two questions I answered. Refresh here. So if I open this up, I can look, I can see that I have the excuse me. I have the activity has been created to have my spot bonus put in, but I don't have a whole lot of flexibility on how I'm going to put all this together and do different things for different people at the same time. So what we have done is we've created repeatable questions. The repeatable questions work in the question portion of the request. You do this by creating a group of questions under like an umbrella. If I open up the with the repeatable questions, the same example here, I now have it set so that I can choose one person. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take this guy. We're going to put him in here and we're going to give him $500. Put this on here. We're going to select the 500 and we're going to add another one. Add response. Now I can take the same questions. I can pull a different person out of here and tell them I want to give them some justification of $1,000. We're going to put 1,000 on this guy. And now when I submit this, the process is working like the multi-loop, only it's using dynamic questions and feeding the questions, the different specific questions into that workflow to create the same type of actions that we would do based on selecting from a table. If I flip over to catalog here, we can see how this works. I'll go ahead and open up the repeatable questions here. I'm going to go into the questions here first. We're going to open the questions up. I've created an object. I have a process question called nominated people. I've set this up as my umbrella question, if you will. And I've added all of the questions that I want to process separately underneath this umbrella question. If I open up the properties on this here, so we have an output format of object. So your process question is now an object containing data, and it streams this data together kind of like an array, and passes this into the workflow and processes it question by question by question, selection by selection. If we go into the workflow itself, let's close this out of here, back into workflow. I've called a sub process, and basically calling the sub process, my input variable is my object that I'm passing in. When we go into the process itself, I've set up the multi-loop instance, and I've created or I've added my process as my loop data. And I'm going to take those questions, I'm going to fill them out one by one, and I'm going to create a fulfillment record in the back end specific to each person that I put into my multi-select questions. If I can bounce back over here, let's go back into my page. We also have validation now. We've added the function of validation to check the data that you're submitting before it actually hits the fulfillment record. So in the past, you would put something into a text field or a text area, and basically it didn't get validated until it was actually submitted, and you had an agent pick it up and say, this information is incorrect, I can't do this. If we do the validation now, such as creating a new user, we want to give a login to someone on a different application. I can say this is Bob Barker, and his login ID we're going to use Seth, since that's who I'm logged in right now. If I put Seth in here, the validation should run. There we go. It's coming back and it's telling me I can't use that. Somebody's already picked this item. Okay, so I'm going to add this to the end of it. Now it's coming back and telling me I'm good to go. I can submit this through here. If we look at how this works from the digital workplace side of the house, I'm going to come in here. We'll search on our there we go, new user with validation. I'm going to open this up. If we go into the questions, this works on the question side of the house. You're down to the field that I'm using to validate on. I have validate login ID. It's a process question now. And you can see I have the external validation enabled. If I open the properties up on this, I have written a validation piece of workflow in Innovation Studio. I can now call that validation workflow inside the questions to validate the data that's coming into that I'm using in that question. I also have the ability to put a generic error, put some sort of error message on there to instruct the user on how to proceed if the data they put in there is not validated. Again, any process that you want to write inside of Innovation Studio, you can attach that now to a question and validate the data that's going to be used in your fulfillment record. So that's something that's pretty handy that I know in the past that I've run across, and I'm glad that it's there now. Let's go back into my page here. If I move down a little bit further, we have added a broadcast API now to Digital Workplace. You can use this, it's a REST API. You can make this call from third-party apps, external apps, or in this case, we're doing it right from Digital Workplace. In this example, I've used a service. I've created a service to submit a broadcast. I can open my service up here. I can type in some information, test. What is the broadcast message you want to send? This is a demo. I can put in a list of users. I can target people specifically for this broadcast. Go ahead and put Seth in there. We're going to set some time up. We'll make this fire tomorrow. We'll make it end on the day after. I'm going to set this up as an informational broadcast, and I'm going to submit my request. Now, if I jump over to the Digital Workplace admin functions and we go into the broadcast portion of the admin functions, if I go, this has now been added right to the very end of the broadcast and will be submitted or will be active when I chose October 27th at 12:22. So we have that availability now to add broadcasts right into the system. Back up to my page here. Some studio enhancements. We'll move on to the next one. We've added some enhancements into the studio for designing pages, like what you see on my screen right here. We've been able to, I've created customize the appearance of catalog sections now with the smaller tiles, or you can use the larger tiles if you want. You have the ability to add drop shadows. I can remove those shadows, and all of this is available inside Studio. Give you a little bit more flexibility in the designs, creating your pages. Another thing that we have added is an asset filter. You can now filter the assets, such as in the My Stuff page or in an asset group that you've put on to one of your pages. If you have someone that needs to see, in this example, like all the printers to do their job, you can make that happen. You can put an asset block together that has all printers in your company listed. However, you could flood the user with more data than necessary. Let's say they only need to see what's available in North America. We can now create this asset group and filter it on only assets that are coming in from North America. We can put this in front of the user and help them get their job done and do all the sorting for them. If we flip over into Digital Workplace, I can show you how this works. We're going to back out of here. We're going to go into, where's my asset groups? There we are. Asset groups, what one was I using here? The Americas Printers and Scanners. We're going to go ahead and open this up. You can now see that we can add the filters here that we need to pull this information down and tie this to a specific user for what they need to do. You can add this into the My Stuff or an asset group block on a page itself. Let's go back over here to my page, back up a little bit. Another feature that we have added are buttons, or an enhancement to the buttons, I should say. We've always had the abilities to put a link on there, a URL that can take you to another page. We now have the ability to tie that directly to a request inside of Digital Workplace. So if I hit the button to the onboarding request, it's going to take me right to an onboarding request to get something done without having to search for it. I can also come in here and tie it to a bundle. If I want to do a guest site visit, tie this to a guest bundle where I can bring in what I need, put the bundle together right from a button, and you can add that right to one of your pages. Let's see what else we have here. Sample pages. We have now added sample pages out of the box to give you an idea how you can design a page for different verticals, different lines of businesses. You can use these templates as is, or to get a new page up and running, or you can use it as a template to modify a little bit. The idea is to help you get started quickly without having to do it from scratch. So a couple of examples we have here. This would be for like an automotive. This is something that could that you could possibly set up. We have one in here. If I scroll down again, so maybe fashion. We have these right out of the box. You can use them, modify them. We have a couple of things tied to them just to get you up and running quickly and on the go. We've also added a content pack. We have offered out of the box content packs to help you get started quickly when you're moving into digital workplace, but we now have one that's IT focused. It includes like an IT Central page, landing page, and some common catalog items that follow best practices, templates, workflows, and such to help you get off the ground and get running quickly, specifically in the IT world. As you can see all these on the page here, again, this entire page was done with Studio. So we've really made it easy and actually professional looking to stand up your pages and focus them to your customers, and some of these new features to go with it. Right at this point in time, I'm going to send it back to Deepak to answer any questions, and thanks for having me along.
Thank you, Rich. And we'll take questions at the later stage. Let me start sharing my screen on some of the forward-looking items, on things which are not GA at this point, but we really want our audiences to basically understand where are we moving forward, right, in the upcoming immediate releases. So a quick legal notice on the future items. BMC is trying its best to commit to the timelines and things that we are trying to demo you, but it should not be considered as a commitment for any release schedules or planning your release or your projects according to that, because there are always variances, and because of which the releases tend to get pushed out. But this is not net new for everybody who's on calls with BMC, so you know about this already. Now, real quick on the next slide, I'm going to show you in the upcoming release, which is tentatively planned for late November this year, we are actually coming up with 12 new features, right? And then we are looking at a lot of these, and I'm going to actually take you through all of these, and if time permits, and then if things permit, we'll actually go into demo of each of these. But as you can see, 12 new features. So most of these are either based on interaction with some of you or the ideas, right, that we have picked up, or some are basically the strategic investments or initiatives. So we'll go into each of these as we move forward. So we are trying to refine search more and more, right? Because as I said, self-service is the key in the organization, and we really want organization and people, right from millennials to basically people, those who are with the organization for a very long time, to have self-service on their fingertips and to get the right information upfront, right? So historically, we had challenges where search was giving you either non-sorted results. One of the source would give you a higher search result, right, then which was not intended, but the accuracy and the relevance for the other one was actually higher, right? So we have eliminated top items from the search results. As you can see, you would start seeing one single queue for entire search, right? So if you would basically search, earlier you had sections on each of those, and then you had like number of items that you can display, but now you will have a single ranked queue, and we are using BM25 algorithm for basically re-ranking. So in the upcoming release, you don't have to really do anything. If your article, if your catalog item was searchable, you would definitely get it searched automatically here uh, on the, in the single queue, right? Also, we have introduced pagination. So if the results are actually overflowing through the length of the, the entire length of the screen, it's going to put that into the next pages. So you can basically navigate to the next pages, and they will be all sorted by the re-ranker that we have introduced. So you don't have to really do anything, but again, upkeeping hygiene and then having right tags, right keywords is something important, because if the article is not searchable, that means it would never come to DWP for re-ranking. Then the next thing that we have done is advancement in the studio capability. As I said, our key strategic investment is around studio to support lines of businesses and having more digitalization. So studio, now, as you can see, you will have something called as, columnar layout, but it's going to be called as the the nested containers. So you will have a block called container block, and it's gonna help you create more visual hierarchies on the screen. So you can have like a row, then you can have multiple columns created. You can drag and drop any item into each of those columns. So it could be, you can create like really wonders with it, right? You can have like single columns, and you can have catalog section. As you can see, this is one single row on the screen, right? One single row, as I'm telling you. This is one vertical container, this is another vertical container, what you are seeing here. And then this vertical container, I have a content block which has search bar in it. I have another content block which is a catalog section, and a content block here which is having a RTF image behind it, and then a normal content block where I've just used a text, and then several small content blocks which are placed inside it. So you can see the level of creativity that you can actually get to it. So it's going to have more visual hierarchies. It's going to have flexible layout provided to your designers that they can design page and meet the corporate branding. Effective content management, consistent design. So you can always be consistent if you go from one page to another page or to different LOBs, because now you have capability to design more complex structures. And device adaptability is most important thing, because web UI is not the only thing that you would really like, right? We need, if people are on the go, many organizations need their employees to use tablets, to use phones on the go, to basically use digital workplace for requesting. And we have seen that in automobile industry, we have seen it in the construction industry, that they do that. They are not in the office most of the times. This is another big advancement that we have done with Studio, right? Which is smart contextual menus. So before, you just had like a single, like a single screen, and then you basically would drag and drop, and then it would tell you it's a permissible state, yes or no, and then you will not be able to, it will basically vanish automatically. But now, if you click on one of the block or one of the rows, you will be able to identify what all can I add basically. So it's going to give you a clean interface. It's going to give you a clear positioning. So you can easily define, okay, I'm on this particular content block. I'm right clicking on this content block. I can duplicate it. I can copy it. I can basically add another row. I can add another container or another page, or even in this component, I can add something which is permissible. If it is not permissible, it won't basically show up in your smart contextual menu. So it gives you a lot flexibility for your designers to quickly and easily develop those pages. Now, the next thing is, which has been highly asked, right? Which is around contextual knowledge search. Now, you've been hearing me saying that knowledge, okay, you are filtering knowledge, you are giving everything, but you're creating page for lines of businesses. But what if I want to restrict the knowledge search per LOB, per page, and can I restrict the sources? So the answer is yes now. So in the upcoming release, we are looking at with Helix Knowledge Management by Comaround right now initially, but we will expand it to even RKM, the ITSM Knowledge Management at a later stage. But right now in this one, this release, you will be able to first, if there is a search block in Studio that you're putting on any page, you would be able to define, let's say in that, if you only want, search to come from Helix Knowledge Management or business workflows or RKM, you can define that. So you can easily define from where the article should be shown in that particular search bar on that particular, studio page. So for example, if you have like a studio page for HR, then you can easily define a search bar which will be getting you results only from business workflows, right? That's first granular level granularization that we have given you. The second granularity that we are giving you is now that with Helix Knowledge Management by Comaround, you would be able to define filtering. What does that really mean? That if you have, those of you who are familiar with Comaround, that you can have tags on each knowledge article, right? So you will be able to define a tag on each knowledge article, and then you can have search filters created using those tags in Innovation Suite, and those can be selected from here from the drop down. So let's say if you want to show uh, like a page which is for Germany, employees from Germany, and you want to show only vacation policies from Germany, which is in Helix Knowledge Management by Comaround, you can just select this particular source, and you can select the filter where you say LOB, line of business, is equal to HR and country is equal to Germany, right? So it's only going to get you knowledge which is tagged for Germany and which has got LOB for HR. Similarly, if you want to do it for US, for India, you can create multiple of those. You can have different lines of, different pages created for each of those different lines of businesses. If you want to show facilities, article only tagged for facilities, you can show that. So you don't show irrelevant information. Okay. That's what we are coming up in this particular release. And you can have as many search block as you want. You can have as many filters as you want. And I'll also take you to the next slide where I'm going to be telling you the benefit of it from your administration standpoint. Okay. So why are we doing this, right? First thing first is get only relevant information to people, those who need it, not bombard them with a lot of information and then let them basically choose. I'll show you some of those examples. I tried to deliberately fail in one of the example, and I'll show you what I really mean there at a later stage. But if you see, I've tried to put down different personas at the bottom. If you see this person 7, his role is basically of a controller in finance, and he's based out of Sweden. Why would you show him articles for finance from US? Because he's not going to go into that unless he's managing both the regions, really, right? So you can have tags created, and then knowledge is going to be specifically tailored for 7 if you have one finance LOB and then a page, and then 7 goes on it, and then system dynamically pulls his region from his foundation data, right, from the CTM people form, and then basically show, okay, he's from Sweden, I'm going to only show this Swedish knowledge to him, not anything else. And increased accuracy and relevance, which I already mentioned, because search is the key, right? And with GPT technologies, it's going to be key even as we move forward. You show only relevant information. So a manager who is from marketing and department in US, you're going to only show that relevant information. There could be marketing people from different regions, but as I said, we are dynamic in nature, right? So there will be dynamic filters, which is going to be used on the same page, and they will be picking up the person's information and will show it in that particular region, right? For that particular region. So you don't have to duplicate pages, really. And service desk agent who's handling customers in the US region, you can basically show knowledge articles which are very specific. Now, I've additionally repeated this 3 times, but what it does for the administrator, it basically offloads the load from the administrator. What I really mean by that, it puts more, more responsibilities on knowledge people, those who are authoring knowledge, right? Because now they would be the one who will basically put the tags, right? And once the tags are defined, your IT admin who has got very less knowledge probably on, or if the person is champion, knows knowledge management and the IT work as well, that's good, but not every organization has that structure. So very specific responsibilities people do. Knowledge management specifically, knowledge authors will have that responsibility. You offload this guy to do more productive works in the IT capacity, right? So that's going to be one of the additional benefits of this personalized knowledge. Most of you were asking from a very long time, how do we meet our, BMC, you really need to work on branding, right? And the one thing, the caveat that you have provided us so many branding capabilities, you have not given us capability to change navigation color. So the good news is we are coming up with it now, and that you will have capability. It's a new revamped branding tool altogether. You will be able to choose custom color. As you can see here, you'll be able to choose a custom color for your navigation to better align with your corporate standards. We're also giving you, um, limited set of fonts right now at this point. Idea is we'll expand, but right now that you can change the font for entire digital workplace, right? As you can see here, and if my system permits, I'll basically show you, because it's a pre-GA drop. It doesn't work always 100% time. It's still under development, but I'll try to see if I can show you. And then you have accessibility check, and many those who know that even European Union and and at several places, accessibility has become a key priority, especially for the government bodies, right? So you need to be accessibility compliant, and it's becoming more and more compelling that your product should be either AA or AAA compliant, right? With WCAG's accessibility compliance. So what we are doing with the color combinations, as you start selecting these colors for different options, it's going to immediately start telling you the color contrast ratio and are you compliant or not. If you go into a range where it's not compliant, it's going to immediately tell you that you are failing. And it's okay to fail, but it's okay, or it's also important that you comply to um, basic compliances for accessibility, right? When it comes to people with disabilities. So it's going to help you right away. So you don't have to really have experts in your organization to base or any third party consultants to basically audit your system for accessibility compliances. You can do it by yourself, at least now, from the color contrast standpoint. And before I even go to this, I'll also show you that this was one of the highly asked questions on ideas, and I have interacted with some of you on ideas, that how can the pop-up messages that comes, the banners that come on digital workplace, there is no capability to change the color of the top bar which comes there. Now we are actually giving that capability that you can adjust colors, hue, saturation, and there is one more parameter which I'll show you that you can change all of that according to your brand standards. All right. One second. Yeah. So the next slide is we are talking about increasing the business velocity with one of the features which was again highly asked. It's about use case where a manager or agent who's being asked by somebody to help to raise a request on behalf of them, when the person is not entitled, they cannot raise request on behalf of that person, even though those, the manager or the agent are actually entitled for that, because DWP catalog just throws you an error that this person is not entitled, right? It's been a big problem overall for everybody, and we listen to it, and we have actually introduced a feature that now you will be able to define an elevated group, where you can define qualification, who should be those elevated group, people belonging to that group, and they will be automatically picked up. And you can say people belonging to this group can use their entitlements to raise request on behalf of somebody else. So it's not going to open entire catalog to them. However, what it's going to do, that the requester will be able to choose their own entitlement to request on behalf of somebody else, even though that person is not entitled, right? And that also goes for service desk agents, those who have the agent role, DWP catalog agent role. If they are using Smart IT, they can actually go ahead and raise request on behalf of the other person, even though the person was not entitled. The classic example of this would be a new hire reaching out to a manager saying that, can you get me the application access, right? And then the application access costs some money, needs approval, right? And then this person is not entitled to raise request, and only manager is able to. So currently, in current scenario, current situation with current GA versions, you will not be able to raise a request on behalf of that person. So that means you'll have to do workarounds. You'll have to raise request on behalf of you as a manager on yourself, and then basically you have to use customizations behind the scene to change the requested for information, which always doesn't go handy when you have automations tied behind the scene. So now all of this is going to be eliminated. All you got to do is just use these privileges identify the person, and then they will be able to do it. I hope a long explanation, but very important business use case asked from such a long time. We are happy that we are actually getting this in. And then it's around, we're also thinking a lot about approvals. So very effective and enhanced transparency across different uh, applications which are consuming approvals. So any custom IS app that you basically create, any app that you create on AR platform, the Helix platform, right, using Dev Studio or even Innovation Suite, anything, if you that's integrated with approval system, approval, like AP detail and AP detail signatures, if you have those already created, three-way joins and others, you're following all the BMC best practices, the approvals from those would start showing up now in DWP end user screens. So they don't have to really switch back and forth between Approval Central. It's going to be all visible here. You can have custom IDs, and then you can basically approve, right? Right from here. And you can also reject, you can put it on hold, and you can do anything what you want. The comments are also going to be propagated if you reject or if you have any additional justification. So I hope that helps your organizations. And then the next one is, again, we have heard from a lot of customers. I had been involved into many of our discussions that there are no visual cues on the screen when the activity is completed. So if you are in a mode where one must approve and you have multiple approvers, you would see that people would concurrently try to approve, and then one would get the error, some weird error, which is not relevant. They do not understand, right? And in fact, even the person who was basically approved, cannot get a visual cue on the screen that it's done, right? So this is what it's going to do now. You will have a visual cue on the screen with this gray border on your cards in your activity summary, and you will be able to see a checkbox there as soon as your activity is done, right? And then um, you will be able to see a small dot, and the update icon would basically also change, and you will be able to refresh it. It's a visual cue for your users that the activity is done. And wherever, like if even if a request is completed, you will still see that there, and it's not going to magically disappear if the screen is open. So you're going to just refresh, it's going to move away to your past events, but it's going to remain there, but give you a visual cue that you don't need to really act upon it. Now for people, those who are working in conjunction, right, multiple approvers, they will get an exclamation mark and a toast on the top saying that the item is already approved or the activity is already completed, no action needed. And this will be there, and you will have a tooltip that they can hover over so that they know that the activity is completed, and then they do not concurrently do something and say, something is failing in the system. So that's coming up in 23.3. Then we are introducing 4 new languages in support of Ukraine. We have worked for introducing Ukrainian. First thing first, as a social corporate responsibility, we have introduced that. So if government tries to go digitization, we have that support. We have also introduced Portuguese, right? And then we have also introduced British English, right? And then Canadian French for DWP end user UI. Also, now you have capability as an admin to basically restrict some language selections. If you want them to select their own languages, but you want certain languages should not be selected, you can uncheck those as an admin, and they won't be selectable anymore by the end user, even though your DWP is providing you support for that. And then this is more of a catch up. With service health items, you always had capability to raise SRM request. Now we have support for DWP catalog service that can be basically selected for each service health item. You can basically go ahead and select. And you can associate it to any service health item. It's going to be available, and you can utilize workflow behind the scenes. And some of this information is going to be propagated. Our goal is to have this in the service broker context so that the asset information and all of that is visible to you. But right now, at this point, it's more static. The information is going to be available in comments, but not in the process context, but we are working on it. So I'll probably stop here for a quick demo to show you how, what's there in our 23.3 system. But if before I do a demo, because I would like to show you together one more thing, right? What is coming up. So we will do a demo together. I'm just going a little backtrack right now, but we'll do a demo of these features together. I want to show you, we are working on a very, like a very asked and very, high in market right now that everybody's talking about is the GPT technology integration. And we are extending that to digital workplace as well, right? So with this, we are visioning that you would be able to chat with the knowledge base. So more conversational experience where in DWP your search bar would start acting as a place for interacting with GPT, right? And then you would be able to get answer generated from your knowledge right away. So like you can easily say, I need vacation policy for California, right? And then it's going to generate it from the knowledge article, and then going to show you that this is a source from where I basically got you this information. And you can say, you can also ask additional questions, prompts on top of it. So you can have, you can ask, okay, my VPN is not working. It's going to say, okay, these are the steps, but what kind of laptop are you using? You say Windows 10 or Windows 11. I'm using operating system as Windows 11 in a Dell laptop. It's going to understand, have the context. It's still under development at this point, and we hope to have it available in next 6 months. We are working to get a controlled availability of this soon, and I'll let you know from the timeline perspective when this happens. We are providing, support for as open AI, Azure. We have already got partnership with Azure and BMC proprietary large language models that can be integrated, right? So we are also trying to look at bring your own model or use BMC's large language model for generation of the responses. What is the benefit? Your users get the answers right away rather than actually searching the entire knowledge base, hitting on each knowledge article, then finding them irrelevant. Rather than that, just give them knowledge right away at the fingertips. We will, at this point, we are looking at knowledge only, which includes Helix Knowledge Management by Comaround, business workflow knowledge, and RKM, right? And then the generative AI technology is going to go through all of these sources. We will have good prompt management system. We're going to seed system with some of the best practices prompt management that BMC provides. And then, that's all on the administrative part. But for the end user, the benefit is they're going to get their job done faster, right? Now, I would quickly show you like a flow, a conceptual flow of this, how it's going to work, right? So let's go back to the GPT, right? This is a conceptual model, and if time permits, I'm going to show you the actual working system, which is still under development. So you'll not have all those level of functionality. But as you can see, I have, like a search bar, which is Ask Helix GPT, right? I click on it and then I say, I basically search something, right? And this basically takes me to an immersive search where it says, I try to search, my VPN is not working, it's generating answer for me right now. It says, you're having trouble connecting to a VPN. Okay, these are the steps you need to follow. And this is a knowledge article. This is a source from where I got this knowledge, right? And you click on it, it actually takes you to the knowledge article, right? As an end user, then you can go back, and then if you are not happy with it and you need more information, you can switch between the old conventional search versus Helix GPT. So you can basically switch, and it's going to carry forward your context from where you started. So it's going to get you one single list of the search items, and then as you can see, the VPN setup, VPN connection is at the top, which is most relevant, and then you can always switch back and forth between these two as long as your session is available. So this is an early preview, more to follow on this. But again, I would be happy to show you one such example of GPT, because we are talking about GPT, and then we'll actually go into each of these features. So right now, bear with me if the environment is slow because it's a very early initial stage. And as you can see, first thing first, the studio page. Doesn't it look fantastic, right? So that studio page is actually developed with all the mechanisms which I just mentioned about container block and then contextual menus to get you more close to the corporate branding. And as you can see, the first thing first, you can see the nav bar, the color is changed, right? So you have that capability. Now, I can ask Helix GPT, right? And I can say, what is vacation policy in California, right? Okay, I am on GPT and it's a live system right now. It's trying to generate me a response and says I'm still working on it. There you are. And it has got you a response right away. You can go up to 10 prompts in a single transaction, and then it will ask you to start new, right? And there is a reason behind it. When we get more into it, we'll talk about it. But now you can see it tells you the source. I can click on it and actually takes me to a source, which is a knowledge article, as you can see. It's a knowledge article from where it basically got me the information, right information at the right time. If I'm done with it, I can start a new topic and then I can ask another question, which is like, I need to get serial number of my computer. So without typing, I'll just probably copy paste it from somewhere, and it's generating a response for me. And there you are. So it gets you the step-by-step instruction, but as you can see now, this time the source is PDF. So just to excite you guys a little bit, we're also working on unstructured data sources to read from the PDF and generate the responses, but it's very early to uh, to to tell you how it's going to work. But yes, we are looking into it to even look for for the unstructured sources, and looking through the document was one of those. So first release, you're going to have knowledge, which is all three knowledge sources, as I mentioned, and then we'll work on more items. And now I'll quickly jump on to change the context a little bit, and we'll talk about studio capability, the one which I basically showed you. So the GPT page that you just saw, I would like to show you how we have developed that using the studio capability, right? So let me just quickly go there. And then let's take a look at the GPT home screen. Yeah, as you can see, now you have rows which are span across, right? Like you can see, if you hover over, you see row, there is a page container, right? So as I said in the beginning that you can create complex structure, there is a container, and then there is a row, and then inside that you have a content block, which is actually holding a search bar there. Then you have another content block, which is also holding another search block. This is for mobile views only. As you can see, I'm showing it for only for mobiles, and this is for tablets and web system, right? Like web operating systems. And then I have another, you have content blocks placed next to each other. As you can see, there is a content block here, then there is a content block here, there is a row, and I'm pretty sure there is a container. Yeah, so there should be a container behind the scenes. But now going more contextual, that I was telling you that you will have capability to add more contextual information. So you go here and you click on it, and then you can say duplicate. It's available. Duplicate, right? And I have undo. If I just by mistake I do something which I don't want, so now you have undo, which I think can go up to 15 undos right now, but I'll have to check with my team, but it's still work in progress. So you can revert back the change. It's going to retain, it's going to have a memory to retain, to undo, so that you don't disrupt anything, right? Then you can also have contextual menu that, it basically tells me what all component can I basically add, right? I can insert component, I can add asset group block. So I just added a asset group block. Let me add another one, insert component, catalog section. I was able to do that, and then I can actually drag and drop here. And as you can see, the guidelines start to show up. It is telling me move it in a row, right? And I'm actually moving, only the option that is allowed to me is move it in the row. So that's what I'm able to do right now. But, if I want to move it outside, I can actually do that. I can create more. So as you can see, I just shifted it here, and then it become, like a navigation, like a block here. So using this, assuming that like you have a catalog section, you can actually place it on the left hand side of the screen, and then you can associate one of the catalog sections, popular IT request. And then if you want to show it in a different size, you have compact sizes, you have large sizes, but I would like to show a compact size. And then I don't want to show it in a carousel view, I want to show it as a vertical view. I can do that. I can limit number of items. I can just say, just show me 2 items, and rest of all this will be visible. So the heights of, we have given you all the tools, the creativity is on you. And we have also provided you 7 samples, which were already released as part of 22.107, that you can actually go and download from BMC site, and can import these so that you can play around with this and see how it's all going to work, right? So I'm not going to destroy this page. I'm going to quickly close this page. And yeah, I do not want to disrupt this at all. I'm gonna take you to another example now, and before I move forward, I'll actually show you in this system the branding capabilities, right? So yeah, this is a new branding tool I was talking about. Now you can see I'm just changing the navigation color. It's changing. And as you can see, my accessibility is actually telling me you're failing there, right? If I move that into a right direction, it start telling me, okay, now you're accessibility compliant, both from contrast ratio for AA and AAA standards defined by WCAG. So you can do that now. And as I said, we are supporting some sort of font. So like, you can basically choose for entire digital workplace, you can choose the fonts that you want. We will see how we can provide more support. Additional things which are coming up right now is the colors as color adjustment, which I was telling you for state colors for these the pop-ups that basically show up at various stages in the application. I was telling you that you can do hue, saturation, and lightness. So now, for example, for critical errors that come in your organization, if you don't want those to be enforced as red, change hue, saturation, make it brown. It decrease the lightness. You cannot go very creative with this because there is a limitation, but we are trying to give you more possible options. For warning messages, change it with the slider and check whether you are compliant with accessibility or not. So all of this is available as part of the branding. Now, I'm not going to save this. Now I'm going to show you another example where I am logged in as an admin, as a user, Isabella, and this is our IT content pack. Isabella wants access to application request, right? To basically request uh, access to an application. And as you can see, she doesn't have entitlement here. It's not showing up here at all. So then she basically reaches out to her manager to say, can you please give me, raise a request on behalf of me, right? So Victor is her manager and Victor logs in and tries to see if he can basically raise request on behalf of Isabella. Yeah, and he has got access to application access request, so he's entitled to it. And we'll see if he's able to do it for Isabella. He's not, right? Because Isabella is not entitled, which doesn't make sense because a person with elevated role should be able to do this. Now, what we have done, we have introduced something called as the um, basically as the elevated roles I had shown you before. And just bear with me for a second. My systems are a little slow today, but because it's a pre-release version, um, we'll go there to DWP catalog and see how we can basically do it. So as an admin, I can basically go and define a people group. So it's very important that you define a people group, which will be that elevated role, which will gonna give you the elevated role. So you have a manager group where you have basically defined, people from in the Epix Global, in the support organization, you have HR support, people from HR support who can basically do that. And this person is part of the HR support because he handles a lot of new, he's a resource manager. He handles a lot of new onboarding of the people. So be there with them until they get a project assigned to them. So this group is entitled to use their entitlement to raise request on behalf of them. So you go into the cogwheel and then you find a new option now, which is called on behalf of request. And for agents, you don't have to do anything. You can just toggle this button and say on agents, those who have agent permission on Smart IT can do this. And for elevated roles, you got to select that group. So I'm going to select that manager group. And this gives capability to Victor, who's the resource manager, to basically raise request on behalf of Isabella. Now, without reason to log out or log in anything, you can just go and select Isabella. Yes, you are able to select, and you will be able to raise a request on behalf of Isabella. And there you are, right? So the request is submitted, and Isabella, when she goes to her My Activity, can basically see that Office 365 access request was created and was requested by Victor, right? Who's the person who basically gets the access, and he's the approver in this case. But the idea was to show you that you can basically do that, right? All of this. Now, another thing that I wanted to show you is, we talked about the getting approvals from the custom apps, right? So as you can see on HR portal, I have built a custom app, which is a PTO request app. So which is built in Innovation Suite, Innovation Studio. It's not DWP app. This person can basically go to the HR portal. Let's go back to Isabella. I don't want Victor to do that because Victor would be the one who will approve it. So Isabella goes to HR portal and basically goes to the PTO application to raise, that she wants some time off, right? And bear with me, it's still a pre-release version, so sometimes things take a little longer than a GA version because, yeah. So you have the application now, and as you can see, the Victor VP is the approver. So what Isabella can do, can say, I want, I want PTO from 30th to 31st, family time, right? And then submit the PTO. So it was submitted to Victor, and then Isabella can basically go and see what happens to the previous requests which were submitted. As you can see, it's again built on IS, so you don't have to really worry about that. But all I'm trying to show is that there's a PTO which is pending right now. She basically selected it from October 22nd to 27th, right? So that's PTO ID 004. So as Victor, who's the manager, can now go into my activity and can see PTO ID 004 is available for, which was request raised by Isabella. He can reject it and he can approve it. He can also put it on hold and reassign it to somebody. I would just reject it, saying that, there is an overlap. Let's talk in one-on-one. Okay, done. And then Isabella can see that it's rejected, and then he's asking to basically go on and talk in one-on-one. So Victor VP doesn't have to leave DWP at all. If the application was integrated, Victor was able to approve it and take it forward from there, right? And so, this is basically closed. Now, let me quickly show you some of the other aspects. So now, as I said, the languages, right? So right now we have support for all these languages. 26 languages, as I was telling you, right? And then which includes Canadian French, and Portuguese, right? All of these, right? And then you as an admin will be able to clear it out so that they do not get selected by the individual. And this is an old feature they can override, right? Now, this was another feature. Now, the most important feature about knowledge, which I talked a lot. How do you set filters, really, right, on the knowledge part? So the filters would be defined in the application settings for Helix Knowledge Management by Comaround. And then once you are building a studio page, let me actually switch over to a different system where I can actually show you this. Just give me a minute. Yeah, let me just log out of this system and then show you, because that's working in a different system altogether. And I have a working system there. So I can basically show it to you guys. Just give me 1 second. Pardon me for that. I'll quickly just, while I do that, let me quickly see if I can actually get the access there. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of jumble up with the URLs. Pardon me for that. The idea is that I just want to show you that how will you be able to select, these filters, right? So now I'm in that persona and I'm actually logging in right now on DWP admin console, right? And I'll show you when you go to Studio, you'll be able to consume those filters. And if time permits, I'll basically show you, or you can select those, create those filters, but that's actually knowledge management area. But I can just quickly tell you how it's going to work, right? So, and this is our last topic, and after that, we'll start taking question and, Q&A. So as you can see, I have a work in progress item at this point. So as you can see, this is first search where I have, I'm actually doing all sources. I'm not restricting. So if somebody goes and search on this search bar, they're going to get everything. Idea is to put all of them together so that I don't have to really, share different screens, show you different screens. And then there is a Swedish policies, right? So what I'm doing here is, as you can see, I'm just selecting Combaround pluggable provider, right? And then I'm basically selecting, so filters are not coming in right now at this point, but the filters would be available here that you can basically select. And that's what you basically had seen. So once person starts searching anything, it would basically pick up from there only, right? So they don't have to really switch the studio page. And let me quickly show you if I can quickly take you to the innovation suite where all of this is built. Pardon me for the slowness there. Okay, so you are in knowledge management, and you can, let's go to administration, and then you are under knowledge management here. Let's quickly see knowledge management. And then this is going to be introduced as search filters. So as you can see now, I have dynamic filter created for region is equal to USA. And then I'm also getting person's region, right? So as you can see, these are called as dynamic tags. We are providing support for all of these out of the box. You would be able to define region equal to USA. That means, get it for region for USA. And then, this is a dynamic filter. So the person who's going to be logging in or searching from there, it's going to get the person's region. So if the US person is trying to search in the Sweden region, it's not going to get them the article. So you can be more creative and you can search more filters, right? You can put more filters as you want. Get department, get knowledge set, lines of business, get new hire. We are providing support to all of this. If you want to extend it, it's actually created by a process. You can customize the innovation suite process and get any variable that you would like from the foundation data. So with this, I'm going to stop talking. I try to cover most of the features and we'll give time back to everybody to ask Q&A. So I'll stop presenting now.
Okay, so we've got quite a lot of questions, Deepak. I'm just going to go through the process of unmuting everyone. So if you just give me 2 secs here. I don't know, actually, Hugh, we've got also helping us. There's a couple of questions in there that we haven't answered. So I don't know if either Hugh, Rich, or yourself, while I'm unmuting, want to start reading from the top of the questions. Just checking you can see them all in the Q&A.
Yeah, I can see that. So I'll just take it from the top.
Please.
The first one is, if DWP ever going to connect service health actum to BHOM monitoring? Yes, correct. So that's a good point, and this is one of the items which is still in our backlog. So we are working on it, and we will for sure. That's our, as I said, close integration with all those strategic pillars. This is one of those. We will work on BHOM integration soon. The next one is, if in this release, will knowledge management by Combaround will be limited only to purchased Combaround products, or it is Helix core? I may not have, answer to this. This is more of like your account manager, and it's more around your entitlements and purchase. But the idea is that what if you already have knowledge management subscription and the licenses, you don't need to really do anything. You will get it right away. So no additional purchases or anything to use this functionality. It's going to be available with current license. But how do you get Helix knowledge management by Combaround with your entitlement and your contract is something you'll have to talk with account manager, really.
Just responding to this. Hang on a second. Deepak, Ed, do you have any further questions on this? Because we do have part of the extended team with Deepak. We do have 2 PMs that work in this space that I can also put you in contact with if you didn't join recently the knowledge management roadmap session. I don't know if that would also be helpful, or to initially speak with your AM first. Don't know if you can hear us, Ed. Hoping I've unmuted you. Let me just check. Yes, allowed to talk. Feel free to unmute yourself, Ed.
Yes, I heard you. Thanks.
Hello.
So, yeah, we have an account manager we can work with. I just wasn't sure if we've talked about we're getting a bid on the Cameron product, so I just wasn't sure if something like the variables that you were just showing were part of something we can access with just out of the box knowledge-based product, or we need to have Cameron, the purchase product, installed for that.
You definitely need ComAround, because the tags, as I said, they are actually coming from ComAround, which is part of the ComAround thing. But I can tell you that with certain entitlements, you can easily sync your knowledge. You would not be able to create knowledge in ComAround, but you can sync your knowledge. So you will be able to sync your RKM and business workflow articles into ComAround, and that also propagate tags, right? The categories which are there, like category 1, 2, 3 for your RKM articles, they will be moved over, so you can utilize that. But only thing I think that's not available, right, without the advanced license there, is you cannot create directly start authoring knowledge in ComAround. So I would say there is some nitty gritty there. Work with your account manager, and then Eric, who's our PM, he can basically answer and give you more detail. But if tags are there, you can do all of that. What I had actually in essence showed you, if your articles are already synced up with the normal migration utility, you don't need to really do anything extra.
Okay, yeah, I'll raise that up to Sharad. I'll work with him next week.
Yeah,
so
and
thanks.
What I'll do is I'll put you in contact with the PMs. If you contact me offline, or I'll find your email address and I'll sync everyone up together. Your account manager, I obviously don't know the details of your account manager, but if you give me those details, then Ed, I can group in a conversation on email for you.
I'll
So you can
send
talk
you that
to them
right away. Thanks. Yep.
Wonderful. Pleasure. Thank you. Okay, Deepak, seeing as you're doing such a great job of answering the questions, I'm going to hand you back over to ask the next one, because you may even have the answers.
Yes. So the next one is branding 508 compliant? Yes. So as you can see, AA and AAA, we are trying to check. AAA is definitely like for many organizations, this is like a stretch goal at this point. And we recently got our VPAT refreshed in 22.1.x release. If you want to have more details on on each area, happy to share VPAT with you. Through you can reach out to your CSS and they can reach out to me, and then we'll be happy to share the VPAT. But yes, it is 508 compliant. The recent audit that we have done with an independent vendor, and even for European Union standards, yes, it is compliant to some of those, right? And we have tried in most of the areas we are fully compliant. There are certain areas where we are partially compliant, so you'll be able to go through the VPAT and be able to see. Additionally, we have taken care of exact same compliance check, because you saw AA and AAA WCAG standards being highlighted there, that they are failing on the contrast ratio, right? So you would be able to catch it, and that's also on the same contrast ratio, which is defined by WCAG for each kind of disability, right? And there are other areas like JAWS, calling out tags, alt texts, and things like that. So there is already a lot. I can share VPAT, happy to share that with you. In fact, there are actually three different questions, which is, if I can skip, there's one person, Palachandra, who asked multiple on the same lines, because I'm already addressing those. To answer, yes, I'm happy to share the VPAT report. You can reach out to your account manager or CSS. We have taken care of that, all the contrast ratios and everything, accessibility check. And as I said, in certain areas, we are 100% compliant to AA standards and partially compliant to AAA. And we move forward to be to more and more compliant, and we'll constantly do these audit checks with independent third-party vendors.
Thank you, Deepak. I mean, if it's something that we can share, I'm more than happy to include it into our Q&A, but I'll talk to you about that offline.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. And then the next one around the localization, I'll certainly have to check. I can check right now, but we can probably take this as a follow up. Sam, I need to work with engineering on this, but um, I
Okay.
think the next two questions from Balachandra, those can be addressed because I have that's the same answer which I had given. The next one is, yeah, the third question also, that's also around the branding because they were all related to accessibility.
Okay. And just quickly, before we do move on to Chris's question, Good Prashad, is there anything that you want to ask why you've got these questions in there? Anything additional? If you're still online, I'm just checking.
Yeah, I guess I think
Hello.
I'm from the Europe area, so I think VCAG is one of the primary sort of requirements, particularly for the end user facing portals. So it's just wanted to check if it is published as part of a pack or something, like reference somewhere in the design or documentation to say this is compliant to certain like AA or AAA, and what is that which is missing basically, so
Yeah,
that it's a bit transparent to the users, when we share that information.
yeah, we can share VPATs. We can talk about this individually, right? Through your CSS or even your account manager. It's not only just 508, but even standards defined by different regions also, right? Not only just US. We have got those compliance checks done. I'm happy to share that for the latest versions.
Yeah, thanks.
And when I send out the thank you email with all the details, I'll make sure that you know where all of these links are posted. They'll actually be on one email for you with the Q&A, the recording, and everything else that everyone needs on this call. So I'll get that from Deepak, which might mean, because it's late in the UK, that I'll be sending that at some point tomorrow. Okay.
Sure. So the next
Okay.
one is Chris's question, which is around what license will cover GPT. And then I'll also take another question together with anonymous attendee, which is more docs to use Helix GPT, right? So what license? As I said, it's a very early preview, which I leverage this opportunity to show it to everybody. The license part is still being ironed out, and we will share that as part of the SKU, what cost, what licenses, how many tokens and things like that at a later stage. At this point, we are not in a position to share that. It's still work in progress, but I wanted to really get everybody excited and give a preview so that we build that community and partnership on testing this out and being the early adopters when this is out, right? So certainly, when we will definitely have more and more webinars on this because it's one of the most emerging technologies. So stay tuned, and we can definitely look at the licensing and the costing part once we have that finalized. And docs, that same goes out for the doc. The docs will be prepared. It's work in progress. It was very early preview. It's almost like I'm the alpha tester right now for this. So we will ultimately share it with wider audiences once we are in a state of beta or controlled availability with everything, including documentation. So then again, Guru Prasad's question, can Helix GPT be used on an on-premise deployment with a local external knowledge source? That is actually, where did the question disappear?
Hugh answered it.
Okay.
Or he's put some comment. Hugh, I don't know if you want to put what you wrote in and help Deepak.
I didn't answer that question. I answered the one above.
It's just disappeared, actually.
Okay, all right. But I can answer that. Yeah, we are also looking at we are looking at having this as part of, as I said, we are providing offerings. You have offering for, so the GPT, I don't know at this point the deployment models and all everything, but GPT in technology, we will try to integrate that even for the on-prem. There is no reason why we should not. We are also, as I said, bring your own models. So you can have integration to OpenAI, right? Or to Azure, or you can choose to use BMC's native one. So if you had something like Azure, then I I I don't think we will be able to restrict you, right, from on-prem use case. So still under discussion, very early. We'll have more follow-up sessions on that. But it was, as I said, you can also bring your own models, and we are targeting, and there will be different licensing cost for each of those. We'll discuss definitely once it goes more in detail. As a matter of fact, my product is just a consumer of Helix GPT. Helix GPT is going to be a separate product altogether, and then we'll hear from the right PM about all these details. right? So stay tuned.
I was going to say, actually, Deepak, I've been asked by the PMs just to get some time slots on when they can produce content. So we have actually got Madhav that's going to do more ITSM and general, and then I've also got someone that's doing it more on the operation management side. So if everyone wants to keep an eye on my webinar page, they are starting to come up. What we're running out of is time. So a lot of it's going to come in the new year. And when you do fill in these surveys, if you can just put what content you'd like to see, I do work very regularly with the product management teams to get this content out and including support as well. I sit between the middle of them.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Stay tuned for Samantha's webinars. Another question from anonymous attendee is around data security. Yes, all of this is taken care, and then it would be too technical right now for me to talk about this, but large language models, first things are inserted into crawled through, inserted into a vector database. They are tokenized. Each token will be associated to the row level security and the foundation and the company. So once the token is generated, so let's say person from company X asked a question which belongs to company Y, the token would not be obtained at all. If the token is not obtained, it will not be sent to a large language model to summarize this and send it to you. So they would never know that the data existed. So your vector database, where all of this is going to be stored, going to hold those token informations, and token will be associated with the row level security. So a lot to come in that space. Stay tuned. And I think once you see the architectural details, you will get to know more about it. I don't want to be a spoiler to tell you the secrets, right? So stay tuned for that. I know there's a lot of excitement. I can feel that. The next question is I think the question is, when you build a request in SRM, there is a configuration in DWP to show priority label. The request is built in DWP catalog. You cannot show the priority label. If you can unmute yourself, are you asking about the priority label once the request is submitted there, like low, medium, high?
Yeah, I don't know who anonymous is. Sometimes it's just how they sign in. So I don't know if we have got that person that wants to speak up.
That is correct.
Hello.
Good morning, good afternoon. Yes, the question is, how we have the status, request ID, the requested for name, requested by. It will be nice to have a priority. And if an agent, goes from a low to a medium, to report that without adding any activity nodes. I know we can do with workflow, etc. But is there a way we can add a priority just like what we have a status?
What we are coming up with right now is, you will have like a ribbon there. So my activity, if you have like a card view, you have a ribbon there where you have requested for and requested by details, correct? And that's of a colored ribbon. And then we are coming up with a way that there will be a small ribbon overlapping, which will give you the priority, which is like the mapped priority for DWP, really.